Chopped and Screwed. Written by Myunique C. Narrated by Aaron Goodson. 1. Day 1. I should have known the moment I laid eyes on him that it was going to end badly. Everything about him was just too perfect. Soft honey eyes, with a gentle smile that warmed my heart to the point where I thought I'd ooze right out of my chest. Vivica was away on business the day I came over to her house to drop off the papers. And although I was just supposed to be dropping them off, something made me stick around when Philip answered the door. "I'm just going to leave these here," I said, hanging around awkwardly as he watched me from the couch. It was hard not to look over there at his round eyes as I noticed him checking my body out. It wasn't the first time I've caught him doing such. "Is that all you want?" he asked, softly, almost as though he wanted it to be something more to linger around for. As I looked around the living room, I remember thinking of how the tension had begun to rise at incredible speeds. So I shuffled around for a moment, then headed towards the door without saying a word. No matter how sexy he was, I wouldn't ruin the best relationship I've had with a friend in a long time. In seconds, he was up from the couch and standing in front of the door, looking down on me with a smile of 1,000 angels. "Why are you rushing off?" I weakly tried to push him aside from the door. "Can you move, please? I have places to be." His fingers brushed a loose strand of my hair behind my ear, and he leaned down to kiss me. Firm lips pressed against mine as strong hands traveled down my body to grab at my behind. For a moment, I was lost. It all felt so right, like it was supposed to be this way. But I snapped to my senses and pulled away. "This isn't right," I whispered. My mouth was saying one thing, but my body was singing a completely different song. It was telling me to strip him down to his birthday suit and make love to him right there on the couch. Again, I tried to flee the scene. "Look, I know you've been noticing me. Well, I've been noticing you too. Don't worry, she'll never find out. She's gone until the weekend." His fingers played with the buttons on my pants. "You want me as bad as I want you." Had it all been that obvious? 2. Temptation got the best of me, and soon I found myself rolling around on Vivica's bed as the man she loved thrust himself deeper inside me. Every thrust makes me wonder if this is the reason why she loved him so. The sex was incredible. We both ignored the sounds of a door opening as we focused on ourselves and the sexual desires we had pent up for one another. It wasn't until Vivica's face drowned in the complete definition of horror that we pulled away from each other as though we weren't guilty of anything wrong. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there looking between both of us. No number of apologies could make her expression soften, and it was almost like I could see the evil begin to grow inside of her at that moment. "Both of you, get out of my house," she finally said. I tried apologizing again, but she's trying to hear no part of it. Just pointed at the door, not even wanting to look at me as I picked my clothes up from the floor. Well, I had to admit to myself that it could have gone a lot worse, but it still didn't make me feel any better about anything. She wasn't supposed to be back for another 3 days. Would it technically be her fault for showing up early? Perhaps as calm as she could be, she didn't say another word to me as I slammed the door behind me and got into my car. What have I done? I asked myself as I sat in the driveway. An even more important question should have been asking how could I make all of it right? Philip hadn't come out of the house yet, perhaps thinking that somehow he could smooth things over with her. He must not know Vivica. At the most, she needed a couple of days to get her mind right so that she would even be able to talk to me again. That won't stop me from reaching out to her in the meantime, though. Though it may be hard to tell right now, our friendship meant a lot to me. 3. Shattering glass and other things that crashed against the walls of the house forced me to leave the driveway in a hurry. An incoming call made me veer out of my lane a little bit, and when I glanced down at the caller ID, I was even more confused. "Hello?" Her voice was calm. "Come back. I think it's better if we talk this out in person. Right now." The line went dead, and I'm stuck looking between the road and the cell phone. It was no question that I was scared out of my mind. The key thing here was giving her the space she needed to calm down before we got into the heart of it all. But it was a mistake. She would understand that, right? Luckily, I hadn't gotten too far away from her house, and I was back in the driveway looking up at the house, still wondering to myself what the hell I'm even doing back here. The last thing I wanted to do was fight her. Don't let that confuse you with thinking that I won't, but only if I absolutely have to. Vivica swung the door open once I was on the porch, and a look half accented with a smile puzzled me. "Come on in," she said. Though hesitatingly, I moved into the house and jumped a little bit when the door slammed behind me. "Look, before you say anything, I just want you to know that I'm really, really sorry. I don't know what came over me," I said, looking around the living room awkwardly for any sign of Philip. I took the seat she offered and crossed my legs. Now I just felt nasty, unworthy to even call myself a woman. Real women wouldn't do what I did, especially since we considered each other sisters. I wondered if she could see the struggle going on within me as I sat there on the couch, staring across at the wall, waiting for her to say something that would start an argument and eventually lead to a fight on the front lawn. It gets that serious sometimes. "So, you want to tell me your side of what happened?" I took a deep breath and started from the beginning. 4. "That's it, huh? You were just caught up in the moment?" she responded after several seconds of silence. I shrugged. "Yeah, I guess I was. But I'm 100 times sorry, Viv. I just lost my head." When she nodded, it all felt unreal. The whole time I had been talking, she just sat there listening to what I had to say, only stopping to ask one question. Overall, just letting me get it all out. I understand now. There was something almost sadistic about the way she said it. Something that told me that not only would things never be the same, but inside her head, she was thinking of a master plan. Since I got here, there's been no sign of Philip, not a peep. And since his car was still sitting outside when I left, I'm wondering if he made it out safely. I'm gonna need some time to let this all sink in. You know that, Cayne. I'll call you. Don't call me. She called behind me as I got into my car. Yeah, I knew it would take a while before I heard anything from her, but at least we got this part out of the way without fighting about it. No ill words at all, even. My mind can't seem to remain focused on one thing as I take the long journey back to my apartment on the other side of town. And the more thought I put into what happened, the more I began to overanalyze things. Has she lost her mind? Or has 2 years of schooling finally paid off? Either way, I'm not sure what to think. A phone call from Philip throws me in another loop, and I thought twice before actually picking it up. What we did was wrong, and he probably just wanted to apologize for seducing me. It was all his fault after all. "What do you want?" I said, holding the steering wheel tightly with one hand. He's whispering in short, labored breaths. "Help me." Cars flew by me on the freeway as I pulled over to the shoulder of the road and put the phone on speaker to amplify his sound. "What's going on?" There was a lot of banging in the background before the line went dead, and all my attempts to redial the number only led me to his voicemail. "Unless you call to apologize, never call me again." I left on his phone. 5. I tossed my keys on the table and slowly started to peel my clothes off as I walked towards my room. Today was a long one, and I just wanted to shower and at least try to get some rest. The strange feeling I felt in my chest did not seem to want to go away as I turned the shower on and let the steam fill the bathroom. I stared at myself in the mirror for a moment before finally stepping into the hot water. It was a good feeling at first. At least, it helped me take my mind off of everything as I felt like I was washing it all away. But when the feeling wore off, I was left with just nakedness. When the phone rang in the living room, I decided to go ahead and get out of the tub, even though I wasn't going to answer it. I had enough on my mind. Water sprinkled on the floor as I walked out of the bathroom and into my room to search for something to slip over me. I didn't know how I'd be able to sleep with all of the commotion going on in my head, and now the phone was ringing every couple minutes. It better be important. The number was unfamiliar to me, but if answering it would stop them from calling me back to back like that, I was glad to do it. "How can I help you?" His voice was low, as though he was growling. "Are you ready?" I shook my head. "You have the wrong number," I said before hanging the phone up. There wasn't much time to even sit the phone down before he called back. "Are you ready?" For a moment, I sat on the other end of the phone, waiting for him to say more, thinking that maybe someone I knew was playing a joke or something. "Listen, I don't feel like playing tonight. Find someone else," I replied, hanging the phone up a second time. That didn't stop him from calling back, and now I'm upset. "Stop calling my damn phone. You have the wrong number." "Do I really care, Cayne?" I stared down at the number on the screen again. "Who is this?" A low and slow chuckle rumbled through his throat. Do I have your attention now, Cayne? The way he said my name sent chills down my spine, and I couldn't help but sit down on the couch with a firm hold of the phone. What do you want? Are you ready? I took the bait. Ready for what? He didn't respond.